So if I asked you, that's right, I'm talking to you, what are some of your biggest complaints regarding gaming laptops? I know some of you would probably say size, especially the ones that have the most performance. They require a bigger, chunkier body. Some of you would say battery life, and most of you would probably say fan noise. If you've ever used a gaming laptop, as soon as you start gaming for a good solid 30 minutes, the fans crank up so loud that you either have to drown the fans out by blasting the volume on your speakers or by wearing headphones. Well, this company, XMG, they're not really well known. Like, you're not gonna find them at your local Best Buy. They're more tailored towards enthusiasts, have a laptop that's water cooled. And not only does water cooling increase the performance of the laptop, not by a lot, but it does, but the most important thing it can do is completely get rid of the fan noise. Now, this model I have here comes with an i7-12700H, 32 gigabytes of DDR5 memory. You have an RTX 3070 Ti, 150 watts, and a QHD 15-inch IPS 240 Hz display with a 1 terabyte NVMe Gen 4 drive. If you were to buy this as a laptop by itself, it's great. It's around 2,700 euros, so not the cheapest thing, but it does perform well. But what makes it so unique is this additional accessory that you can buy. This here is the XMG Oasis, and it's kind of like an all-in-one water cooler that connects to the back of your laptop, but it does it in a way that your laptop essentially becomes quiet. And I've never heard that on a gaming laptop before. So when I hooked this thing up and it did that, I was completely blown away. When this thing is under load, it gets to around 55 decibels, which is loud. But as soon as you connect this, there's no more fans. Like, you might hear the fan come on every once in a while, but it never surpasses 43 decibels. Inside of here, you have a 120 millimeter fan to cool the radiator. You have the radiator, obviously, and a reservoir to put your distilled water. There's a little flap on the top, which is not the most premium way to open it up, but you can use the funnel that comes with the laptop or the XMG Oasis to put distilled water inside of here. There's a little monitor in the front to tell you how full it is. So ideally you want to keep it at the line over here so that it's performing as it should. And if you ever need to get inside, there's little clips on here that allow you to take it off. And the way it works is you connect your power brick, which is a 280 watt power brick, to the back of the XMG Oasis, and then there's a power pass-through using this cable that connects to the back of your laptop. Now on the back of the Neo 15, you have a little flap here that has your 2 ports that connect the water cooling. And it works really well because all you have to do is push in, you hear a little clicking noise, and that's it, it's secure. And if you want to get it out, you push it again, and then you rip it off. The temperature difference between not having it connected and connected, it's like night and day difference. In fact, it's very desktop-like. You're not gonna get the same performance as a desktop, but the cooling is very similar. So for example, when this is under load and I'm using like a benchmark stress tool, I'm getting like 80 to 85 degrees Celsius on the CPU, and the GPU is getting really hot at 85 degrees, which is a little too much for me, okay? But as soon as you connect this and you turn on the XMG Oasis, which you have to connect via Bluetooth, and it works well, the temps come down. You know, GPU running at 60 decibels, CPU around 50 to 60, really quiet, super cool. Now there's a little bit of drippage every time you take off the water cooler. As you can see here, there's some water here, but it's never a lot. It's just like a few drops. So when you do pull out the plug, which you just press and pull, just put like a piece of paper towel at the bottom so it doesn't get super wet. It's just a little bit, as you can see here. It's not like a massive puddle or anything, but it will drip a little bit of water. Like even me just like chucking this around and throwing it on the desk, this does leak a little bit, which is normal, but it's never a super amount of water that I'd be worried about having this thing beside my laptop. The laptop itself is pretty simple, you know, like you have this very black, clean looking design. You have a bunch of your ports on the back of the laptop. So you have your power connector, RJ45 jack, HDMI port, which still connects directly to your GPU. You have your Type-C port, and then on the left-hand side, you have a USB-A port, 2 audio jacks, and then on the other side, you have 2 more USB-A ports and a full-size SD card slot. Now, I would have loved more ports to be on the back, or at least have these ports all the way over here so they're not so close to the front, but at least the main stuff like Your power connector and your HDMI port is at the back, so it's not going to get in the way when you're using the actual laptop. Now this is about 4.85 pounds, so it's not the lightest laptop I've used, but it's still fairly portable. It does pick up a lot of fingerprints, as you can see here on top of the lid. Of course, being chunky as it is, you can open it up with one hand. The display only goes this far back, so you can't tilt it 180 degrees. There's a little bit of wobble. It's not as bad as like a Gigabyte Aero 15 from last year, but there is some wobble to this display. Now they do have this awesome opto-mechanical keyboard. It's per key RGB, so you can customize it to however you want. The travel distance is fantastic. Like as a gaming keyboard, it feels great. It's not my favorite keyboard. Like I think they could have made this better. For example, I personally would have gotten rid of this numpad. Like this is a gaming laptop at the end of the day. I feel like this takes away from the gaming experience. Like being able to, I don't know, center the keyboard properly, give me a bit more distance between the keys. I just think they could have made the keyboard better. The touchpad is a fantastic size. It just doesn't feel as good as other premium touchpads. Like I don't find it to be that accurate. You do have a little button you can tap on the left-hand corner, which will enable or disable your touchpad. Very important when you're using an external mouse and then you have your hand on the keyboard. You'll get no accidental touches this way. The display, 15.6 inches, it's 16 by 9, so very gamer focused, 240 hertz IPS, good color gamut, good color accuracy. Screen brightness is a little average. I would have loved a brighter panel, but it's more than fine for just gaming. Webcam is 1080p, so it looks a lot better than last year's 720p webcams, and of course it has the sensors to support facial recognition to log you in quickly. But performance on this has been great, regardless of whether you buy the water cooling solution or not. As a general laptop, whether you're a creator or a designer or a developer, the CPU performance, single core clock speed or multi-core clock speed performs very well. It beats out the Razer Blade 15, it comes close to other i9 12900Hs, even though it's a 700H. It's just a good, solid performer. Even if you're buying this for gaming, which most of you probably are, it does a really good job at 1920 by 1080. I had no drop frames or any issues while I was gaming during the duration of reviewing this laptop. QHD gaming on this laptop is very solid. The 3070 Ti with 150 watts performs very well. Now, this is where the magic happens. You have two speakers on the bottom. They get pretty loud, but they're not the best speakers, but they do the job. You have one drive, which is a Samsung 980 Pro, the good stuff, really good read and write speeds. It's Gen 4. And then you have a second slot that can be used to put a second drive in. You have two slots for RAM, DDR5. This is also Samsung RAM, rank 8, so it's the good stuff, 32 gigabytes inside of my unit. Swappable Wi-Fi card, I believe this is Wi-Fi 6, so at least you can swap it out in the future for Wi-Fi 6E. But this is what we need to talk about, because what we have is your standard layout for a gaming laptop with copper running back and forth across the CPU, and then of course down here to the GPU, and then you have your fans to help cool. But then on top of all those pipes, you have your copper heat pipe where water runs through. And this is what keeps the CPU and even this section over here cool as well. And once the water starts flowing, it cools this central area down, and then the fans don't have to turn on a lot, which means you just get a quieter experience. It's kind of genius, and I dig it. The battery is 93 watt hours. Told you before, about 5 hours and 15 minutes if you have it on battery saving mode. So the XMG NEO 15 alone, without the Oasis, is a good gaming laptop. I enjoyed the performance, it has a decent battery life, the display is good enough for gaming, tons of ports, and it's very easily upgradable. I don't like the design, I think it's very basic. Some might like it because it's super clean, but like when you touch the chassis, it doesn't feel the most premium. And obviously this is not some sort of custom built spec. This is like a Tongfeng or a Clevo chassis that a lot of other manufacturers have access to. But I think if you're an enthusiast, you're gonna really enjoy it regardless of the Oasis. But this is what makes it so great. And the ability to have no fan noise has been a dream for a lot of laptop owners, specifically gaming laptop owners. I still think this needs a bit more refinement. Like I find this case to be very cheap. This thing that opens up to put the distilled water needs to lock down a bit better. And they need to reduce the noise of the fan a bit more. Like 45 to 47 decibels is a little bit loud when you're trying to keep this quiet too. This should be closer to the 40s to match the laptop. But still, 45 to 47 decibels is still way quieter than 55. And trust me, if you were to hear both in real life, it's like night and day. And to have that kind of like desktop quietness when I'm gaming on a laptop is great. And that's what this is for. The individual who mostly uses it on their desktop wants a quiet experience, but still wants the portability of a laptop when they need it. If you have any more questions about this product, let me know in the comment section down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.